Hello, my sea turtles. Can you tell where I am right now? I'm actually in our classroom. I got the okay from Mr. Sims to come in here and get some materials so I can help teach you guys a little bit better during this whole learn from home. And I thought that it would be cool that I taught our lesson here today in the classroom instead of at my house, kind of a cool change of scenery. So I'm really proud of you guys on how you've progressed and learned so much about quadrilaterals. So now we're actually going to leave quadrilaterals and move on to angles. And a lot of you remember angles from the 3rd grade. You knew how to classify them, what names to give them, but now we're going to take that one step further. And not only are we going to have that review of what kind of angle is this, but we're going to learn how to measure them. What tool do we use in order to do that? So let's do a quick review first. So these are our angle names. We have acute, right, and obtuse. And this is where the review comes in. So these words should sound familiar to you. All right, we have an acute angle, and a lot of us, we learned it as looking at this word cute and the word acute and saying, oh, it's so cute. That means it's small, okay? So an acute angle is any angle smaller than 90 degrees. And so I labeled it right here. This little circle is how we show degrees. And so if you've ever looked maybe on the Weather Channel or the weather app on your phone, you may have seen this before. And so this means degrees, whether it's degrees in angles or degrees in temperature. This is how we show that, just like how IN means inches, cm means centimeters. It's very similar, all right? So we have 90 degrees. So an acute angle is smaller than 90 degrees. And then we have our right angle. This is called the perfect angle. All right, it is exactly an L. It's also called a square angle. And this is an angle that is exactly, notice how that is in all capitals and underlined. It is exactly 90 degrees. That means it can't be 89, can't be 91, has to be exactly 90 degrees. So if an acute angle is smaller than 90, and a right angle is exactly 90, then an obtuse angle has to be bigger than 90 degrees. So an obtuse angle is an angle larger than 90 degrees. So that should all be a review. So now we are gonna go, and I drew some of these angles, and we can see just looking at them. Here is an example of an acute angle. We see that it is smaller. Oh, look how cute. An obtuse angle, a bigger angle. We have another acute angle, this one a little bit harder to tell that it's less than 90 degrees, and our perfect angle of a right angle. So now what we'll do is I'm gonna show you how you can measure these angles. So let's start with a right angle because we know that that is exactly 90 degrees. So the tool that we use for this is called a protractor, okay? And this is what it looks like. Some of you may have seen this in your classrooms before. So right here, it's super similar to a ruler. You notice all of these little tick marks, and it has different measurements. And if you notice, each big tick mark has 2 measurements. So we see here, there's 10 and then 170. That's because an angle can be drawn in 2 directions. It can either be drawn that way, or it can be drawn that way. And so since they could be drawn 2 different ways, then please call Miss Pierce at the front desk at 4300. Sorry about that, guys. I was Miss Pierce. I know you guys miss hearing those announcements in the middle of lessons. So since it is being drawn in 2 directions, the protractor needs to have 2 measurements on each side, because if I'm measuring this on this side, all right, say it could be 10 degrees over here, all right? But if I'm measuring it from this side, then it also has to have a 10 degrees over here. So this circle right here is gonna be your best friend. You're gonna measure up that empty circle to the corner of your angle. So we have our right angle, we'll take it, make sure that this black line measures up straight to the rest of the line. Go. And we know a right angle is exactly 90 degrees. So we look at our protractor to see if we're correct. And we do. We see that green line of our angle matches up exactly to 90 degrees. So we know a right angle is 90 degrees. So let's go ahead over to our acute angle. Same thing, gonna match up this circle to the edge of the angle, okay? Make sure that everything is all straight. So we know an acute angle is smaller than 90 degrees. And so if we're looking at our protractor, we see that our green line matches up to 70 and 110. So if we know an acute angle is smaller than 90 degrees, which one of those measurements are we gonna choose? Right, we're gonna choose the 70 degrees because we know it's already an acute angle, so it has to be smaller than 90 degrees. Let's go over to our obtuse angle. We know obtuse, bigger than 90 degrees. So we need to choose the measurement that is larger than 90. So we see our green line matches up to 60 and 120. Well, we know it has to be bigger than 90. So which one of those numbers is bigger than 90? Right, 120. All right. And then again, our little baby acute angle. We match it up, make sure everything's straight. This one isn't the best protractor, so it's a little flimsy, it flops around a little bit. All right, so then this one's gonna be a little harder. You see that our green line isn't exactly at a number, it's between 30 and 40, and between 150 and 140. Well, we need to say, okay, it's an acute angle, so it is smaller than 90 degrees. So we're gonna choose between 30 and 40 because those numbers are smaller than 90. So it's cutting it exactly in half. So what number is exactly halfway between 30 and 40? Right, 35. All right, so this angle is 35 degrees. All right, and if you didn't know that and if you weren't confident in guessing that, you can also count the little lines in between. So we got 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35, that big middle line in between. All right, so this was our quick, short math lesson of doing acute, right, and obtuse angles, learning how to measure them with protractors. Okay, so make sure there wasn't an anchor chart for this, so make sure that you watch this video as many times as you need to help with your practice problems. But we're really going to start practicing using these protractors. Most of the worksheets that you'll get, there'll be a protractor on every problem because obviously I know that some of you guys aren't going to have this at home. All right, so if you want to pause this video, you can, so you can work on your math, or you can keep it running for when we do our reading today. So we're going to take a little bit of a break today from Number the Stars, and instead I wanted to read you this fun Penguin's Big Adventure. Okay, so most of you guys know Pedro the penguin that lives in our classroom library. This is actually the book that goes along with him. And I thought that it would be fun for us to read about a big adventure since most of us are stuck at home and we're probably dreaming about big adventures that we want to go do. Whether that big adventure be going to visit a family member that doesn't live here, or maybe you were meant to go somewhere for spring break, somewhere cool like across the country or on a cruise and you couldn't get to go. So I wanted to read about a big adventure to kind of make us hopeful for when all of this, quarantine stuff is over, that we can go have big adventures. One day, Penguin had a big idea. He wanted to do something no penguin had ever done. He wanted to be the first penguin ever to set foot on the North Pole. It's 12,436 miles away. Penguin planned and packed. He rolled up his adventure map and set off. So, something cool that you guys need to know. So we have the North Pole and we have the South Pole. And a lot of people think that they're the same, but that's actually not true. Penguins live in the South Pole. all right, where there are no penguins up in the North Pole, all right? So he's saying he's all the way down at the South Pole on the opposite side of the world, and he wants to be the first penguin to go to the North Pole. But it's 12,436 miles away. That's really far. But before his first mile, Penguin saw Emily sewing. "This looks like a very nice quilt," said Penguin, "and the brightest that I've ever seen." Before Penguin reached his second mile, he saw his little brother Pumpkin weaving. "That is a fine basket, Pumpkin," said Penguin, "and the biggest that I've ever seen." Right before his third mile, he saw Bootsy braiding the longest rope that he had ever seen. "Can I help?" That's what Penguin's saying. "Well, I don't want to tie you up, Penguin. You have so far to go." Then Penguin set off for the other side of the world, while his busy friends worked on their own world records. Penguin passed through his favorite places and visited with old friends. All right, so right here, he's standing in front of some trees and got a tree with a scarf on it, and he's saying pine cone. All right, looks right here like he's on the beach. He's talking to a little lobster and then a little seagull. The lobster is telling him cowabunga. He had a whale of a time. "Our friend, the knitting penguin." There he is on a whale, and he's saying, "Wee!" So it looks like he's having a lot of fun on his adventure. Finally, Penguin reached the North Pole. "I'm on top of the world." Penguin threw confetti, he turned cartwheels, and he planted a sign. Penguin was here. Penguin shouted, "Hooray!" and it echoed across the ice. "Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!" But nobody answered. So I want us to think right now, what do you think Penguin is feeling? So he did this amazing thing. He went over 12,000 miles to go to the North Pole. But how do you think he's feeling right now? So it said that he shouted hooray. He finally succeeded in what he set off to do, but nobody answered. So I'm making the prediction that he's feeling kind of lonely. This whole journey, he said that he got to meet up with friends, but none of those friends came with him. He kind of did this all by himself. And while traveling is fun, it's way better to do it with friends by your side. Penguin was suddenly lonely and afraid. But he was not alone. Oh. Penguin had never seen a polar bear, and polar bear had never seen a penguin. So we see that Penguin has this thought in his mind that polar bears are super vicious. And then polar bear has this thought in his mind that Penguin is good at karate. Hi-ya! That he's going to karate chop him. And it was scary for both of them. Penguin and polar bear smiled, and it wasn't so scary anymore. "Do you wear a black belt?" polar bear said. "No, I wear an orange scarf," Penguin said. "Do you have big, sharp teeth?" Penguin said. "No, but one might be coming in," polar bear said. And together, they went on a North Pole adventure. They went whale watching, they built ice forts, they explored the Arctic Sea, and welcomed more visitors. "We missed you." But then it was time for the new friends to say goodbye. Penguin left Polar Bear his adventure map because he didn't need it anymore. Because the best part of having an adventure is coming home You can see all of his little penguin family and friends wrote, "Welcome home" in the snow. So, I wanted to read you this book because I know that all of us are probably getting tired of staying in our house, not being able to go to cool places like Frankie's and Sky Zone and all these awesome places that before we could go to without even thinking about. But I know me personally, I'm missing my friends most. I'm missing you guys most of all. I'm missing, coming to work and seeing everybody. So don't forget that while there's so much cool stuff to do, it's always better to do it with somebody. And you may be getting tired of your parents and you may be getting tired of your brothers and sisters right now, but just remember that one day when all of this quarantine stuff is lifted, you're going to be able to go out, you're going to be able to have fun with your friends, and you're going to start missing your family again. You're going to say, wow, I can't wait to come home from school and give my mom a hug and, hang out with my dad and hang out with my brothers and sisters. So it's really hard to think about it now since we are surrounded by our family almost like 24/7. But just make sure that you love on your family and friends a little bit more during this hard time. Because I know that I wish I could love on you guys every single day. So make sure that you guys keep working hard. Email me if you want to. We can try and set up a Google Meet so I can see all of y'all's faces. But keep working hard and be the best that you guys can be. I love you guys.